Hello everybody. Okay, well let's just go ahead and start now. And it's to steam or not to steam? That is the question. So we're going to talk about pressing, not ironing, pressing. Okay. I have actually I did some sewing this morning. Look at how wrinkly that is. That's just horrible. I just want you to know that I'm crazy about pressing. We don't iron, right? Ironing is something I don't do. I don't iron any of my clothes, let alone my husband's shirts. That never happens in my house. But I will press my quilting, my strips. So when I was originally taught basic quilting, we never used steam. In fact, my instructor almost slapped my hands. I was like, oh yeah, steam, sure, yeah. So if you really want to get into an interesting discussion with a fellow quilter, just ask, do you use steam or not? And you'll get varying opinions. And I'm a great believer that you need to figure out what works for you. Come from a garment background, much like Anne does, although she did it far more professionally than I ever did. We always use steam. When I became a quilter, I learned to never use steam. In fact, my iron doesn't even have water in it. So I use different methods to press my seams quilting than say somebody else will. But I'm going to show you both. And it's up to you to decide what works for you. So as I was sewing these strips this morning, it killed me to not press them. So there is, I'm going to say, a strong suggestion. So when you stitch a seam together, now let me show you this one. This is green, it might show better, right? Whenever you stitch it, you need to set your stitching. So it is very important that you always press it flat. Don't go right ahead and start pressing it open or pressing it over. So I have Anne's awesome steam iron here. This guy's all ready to go. I'm going to press my seam. I'm going to set the seam, right? Pick it up and press it down. I'll continue and I'll do the 3 seams on this one. There we go. Oh, perfect. Okay, so I have now set my seams. They're nice and flat. That is probably the one thing I would strongly recommend that you always do. Sew it, press it, sew it, press it. And if you're ever going to cross your seams, you must always press it first. Never cross the seam without pressing it. So now that I have this pressed, there's a couple of things that we can do. You can press it to one side. Usually we go to the dark side, as we love to joke. Okay? So I'm going to take this one and press it. I have both the same colors, so it won't really matter. Now some people will just press like this. Now what happens when I press like that, I don't know if we can see that, I'm actually going to lose fabric in here. So I will not have that accurate seam allowance. If you check your seams where you pressed, you may actually see that these are not pressed flat and you're actually losing. Okay? If you press it like that, you're actually losing that. And then when you add, say you have 6 seam allowances, well now you're ½ an inch out. You can ask me how I learned that the hard way. Okay? So press it flat, you're setting your seam, very important. Now I usually have the right side facing me. See, I have my seam allowance going away from me. Now there's a couple of ways we can do this. You can get your iron in here, so you want it right along the seam here, press out. Or if you have artificial nails, which I used to have all the time, I would actually finger press. This only really works if you have artificial, but now I want to take, and I'm not using steam yet, okay? Now I want to take it and press. Okay? So the edge of my iron is going up and out. There we go. Now I can feel that it is completely flat. That's going one way, right? So what you can do from here, now this is a straight seam. We're going to talk about ones on the bias in a minute. Right? Some people will do that. Now, some people will actually take starch. Now this is really important when you have half square triangles, anything that's cut on the bias. It's fairly important on a straight seam, but not as important on a bias. You've got lots of half square triangles. You should be using starch. Now there are a couple of alternatives. So I'm going to just go ahead. I tend to buy everything unscented now. I have really bad allergies the older I'm getting. This is Caribbean, so I have to be very, very careful. If I run out, you'll know I had an allergy attack. Right? There you go. And that sets. Right? Also add some nice body. So I know you can't feel it, but it is a little bit. It's got body, and I know that that seam is perfectly flat. Key, perfectly flat. That's what you want. Now, I do have another product here that we sell. It's flatter. This is Scentless. I'm a big flatter person. I love flatter. It's scentless. Although it does come in different scents, which I have behind me right now. And some people love to have a little bit of scent. I do love flatter, and there's a couple of reasons I love flatter, and this is why I love it. Oh, the lid's already off, so I'm just going to put that there. Spray that. So I always press the same way my seam is going. So remember that I pressed it that way. So my seam is going this way. I'm ironing or pressing this way. Would flatter work to keep knitted fabrics from curling? That is a really good question. Yes, it should work. Now I do teach the knit making t-shirts. I find that there might be better ways to keep them from curling, and that's usually adding something to the fabric, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, I have another seam, a couple other seams here. This one is just kind of going whichever way, right? So let's go ahead, set this seam. You know, I don't mind pressing my quilts. For some reason, I seem to find it very zen-like. Like I said, I would never press my clothes because I don't press my clothes, they're all knits. So, again, my seam is going this way. I can finger press it, or I can use my iron. Press, press. Now, you want to invest in a really good iron. I am pretty anal about my irons. You can buy the cheap ones, and you'll be lucky. That's hot. You'll be lucky if they're going to last you maybe 3 months, and then they're in the garbage. So buying a very good iron, and I also have to have a lightweight iron now because of my getting old and my shoulder issues. I need something that's light. This one is actually perfect for me because the bulk, this is Anne's big steam one here, the reliable one. The bulk is actually in the tank, which is to the left of me here. So I have no problems with the weight of this one. Now, Reliable makes some very good, some beautiful irons that we have here, right? This one is just beautiful, and I have absolutely no problem with the weight on that. And they do come in other colors. I have the orange one behind me, and that was the purple one, which we all love. Okay. So that's pressing your seams one way. And this is how most of us traditional quilters were taught. Let's do something different now. All right. I have another piece here. Okay. I'm going to set my seam again. Right. So now my seam is sticking up. I tend to press my seams open because I get significantly better measurements. So I'll get an unfinished perfectly at 12.5 if I'm making a 12.5-inch block. Now getting in here can be a little difficult. You can do that with the tip of your iron, which is right here, right? I don't want to touch that. As you know, I love to burn myself on stuff. I'm going to show you this. This is Acorn Precision Piecing Products. Easy Press Pen. And I'm going to show you why this will change everything you do. This is, you can see I use this one a lot. It's got yellow on there. It's like a highlighter. And this has the pressing product in it. Watch this. I open it and I put my pen in here. Now it has liquid in it. Yeah. So I just use the highlighter effect and I just press in the middle, press in the middle. I'm going to come along with my iron. And then I'm going to press this. And I'm going to show you why this makes such a difference. Look at this. It is flat as a pancake. This changed how I pieced. And how I came along across this. Right? Let me just put my lid back on. These are refillable too, right? You just fill them up. Acorn, they're a great Canadian company. You can actually get this one. This kit here has all the refill for this. So you get the highlighter pen. And this is a glue instead of pinning your seams. It's a temporary glue and you can glue it. Then they also come with a big thing. So they even come with a mister bottle. And here is the same product that goes in here, but in a big bottle. And the nice thing about this is you can get replaceable tips. Because over time, your tip's going to get worn, right? And you can just buy new tips, put them in. Some of us may have a couple of these because I try to always carry it in my sewing kit. As you may know or not know, I was teaching the birthstone or the gemstones last year. And this is a pattern designed by a lovely lady from Kentucky, MJ Kidman. And I'm a certified gemstone teacher. And this is the April gemstone. This is for my daughter, and she was born in April. And we're doing classes every month here. And so this is all just solids. I'm going to turn the back and you'll see the pressing. Look at that. Now you see why the highlighter pen or the pressing pen is so amazing. Okay? So you'll see where I've pressed most of these out. And the only way you can press some of these small little pieces open is with this pen. Okay? Press, you're done. Look at this. Not that I want to show off my pressing, but yeah, I want to show off my pressing, right? This is my sample quilt at the front of the store. They actually took it down for me. I haven't even quilted this thing yet. There's your October one. There's your Tourmaline one. So the one that is particularly beautiful, that I absolutely love, is April, because April is a diamond. Right? Isn't that beautiful? This is all done with freezer paper. Right? And of course, I embroidered the month and the stone with it. Let's go back to pressing. So this is why pressing is so important. And when you do something like this, and you learn to press it, and you get really good pressing, right? Like it should feel flat. You shouldn't feel whoop, whoop, bumps, bumps. Right? Okay, let's continue on. Okay, so I've done everything without steam. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. So, pressing straight lines, I usually use my flatter or my pen. It depends. Usually on these ones I can use the flatter on a straight line, but I'll tell you, if it's cut on the bias, you want this. Let's talk about to steam or not to steam. Don't even ask me. I don't even know what I was doing. I have a bin at home where I call them Orphan Blocks. These are blocks or projects I started and I'm thinking, why did I do that? And I throw them in a bin. And every couple of years I just donate them to a group of ladies I quilt with, and they make them into charity quilts. And this is just one. Obviously I did this a very long time ago because all my seams are nested. They're not pressed open, which is what I do. As you can see, obviously I press them as I sewed them because where they meet is flat, right? That's where you're nesting, or you're butting up your seam. So I got this seam going that way, this seam going that way, right? And they match perfectly. I can feel there's no bump. So now say I've finished my quilt top. Now I'm going to use steam. So this looks pretty bad, you ask me? Okay. And I always tend to start in the middle, right? A little shot of steam. I've asked some of the ladies here, do they steam or not steam? And the majority of them said, I don't steam while I'm making my blocks, but once I have everything together, then I steam the quilt top. So you can give that a try with your next quilt or your next project. I just love pressing that steam button, I'll have to tell you. There, let it cool off. Flat as a pancake. Ah, ta-da! So, that's what you want. I use steam to press my quilt top before I quilt it. So, I'm going to show you this one. So here's what I want to show you. Okay. Now I've pressed this, but this is before I was actually using steam for the end product. So make sure that you guys can see this. Okay. So I can see this seam, it's going this way, and then it flips this way, and then it goes this way. So I have a nice wobble. That's the technical term, wobble. Well, that would just drive me nuts. Now, this is pretty thick here because I have a seam allowance here and a seam allowance here. Right? Okay. Let's take my handy dandy steam iron, which I absolutely love. Now I'm just going to tug my fabric a little this way. Right? Little shot of steam. Little shot of steam. Now I'm going to let that cool down. Nice and flat. Look at that. And this is what you want your seams to look like. They're nice and flat. There's no bulk there. Right? And that's what we want. So, poll question. Who uses steam? So, put in the comments who uses steam. Or who uses a combo. So, just to recap, really important when you're doing a lot of half square triangles. It's on the bias. You want to be really careful pressing that out so you don't make it go wonky. I highly recommend you use the pressing pen because that's going to stop it. Also, to stop it from skewing. Also, if you use the little wool mat for all your half square triangles or 4 square triangles, whatever triangles you're doing, eh? The wool's going to grip the fabric so it won't get shifted off. Anyways, so to steam or not to steam, right? So I press without steam and I use my pen as I'm building my blocks. Once I'm all done, then I steam. I steam it. I love doing that, right? Again, thank you for being here today. So be kind, be safe, be calm, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.